When people come to me at Help to Heal Services, oftentimes what they're coming for is because they have experienced a traumatic situation. In this video, I want to share with you three ways that I share with my clients to actually start healing from those traumatic situations without medication. Now, I'm not against medication. Sometimes medication is necessary, but I just want to share with you in case there are people out there where they don't want to go the medicated route, are looking for ways that they can begin to heal from their trauma. So, the first way I'm going to tell you is you have to acknowledge the trauma. That is the very first thing that has to happen. If you were molested as a child, if you went through date rape, if you went through having an abortion, if you had a miscarriage, if you experienced something at the hands of your mother or your father or a close family member, if you were traumatized by a relationship or were in a abusive relationship, whether verbal or physical abuse, rather you experience neglect, there is a wide range of traumatic events that have happened to people. And sometimes it's not just one event, sometimes it's been reoccurring trauma. So, because I deal with that population of people, I oftentimes want to make sure that I'm giving them some ways that they can heal without having to seek medication. Now, that doesn't, now, let me be honest with you. There are times where you do need to get medication, but that's not what this video is about. So, the first thing that has to happen, number one, out of those three ways, is you have to be able to acknowledge, as I stated before, your trauma. If you are in denial, or if you are the kind of person that suppresses or avoids, then it's going to be very difficult for you to heal. Okay. You have to be able to acknowledge what has happened to you. And so when you acknowledge what has happened to you, you then give yourself that permission to be able to deal with it. Oftentimes, I meet people who do not even want to acknowledge or classify something as traumatic. And it really is. So, the second thing that I often start having my clients do is I have them to start journaling. And what I do is that I actually share with them that I want them to go buy a personal journal, something that is kind of fancy, something that is kind of cute, so that when you go to pick it up, the first thing that you see is something that'll kind of make you smile or make you want to open it up and write in it. I know that sounds like maybe sound a little corny to somebody, but believe it or not, it does help some people when they actually pick it up and it is something that they do want to look at or they're excited to write in it, even though what they're writing in it may not be that exciting. So, because writing is a form of release, this is why I tell them to purchase journals. I do get clients that say, I'm not a good writer, that say, I don't like writing in journals. But what I try to explain to them is that this is not about what you like or what you don't like. What this is about is learning how to heal. And if the body never learns how to release what has impacted it, it holds it. If it holds it, then of course, in turn, it's going to find a way to release. And that's typically not a healthy way that it will find. So, what I try to do is I try to give healthy ways to be able to release so that the body can begin or learn how to heal. When you are writing, some of the prompts that I often have them start off with is what was the trauma? What was the situation? What was the circumstances or what happened to you that you have classified as traumatic and that you have been trying to avoid, suppress, or deny? So once you actually write out what the trauma was, then I start asking them to write out how it made you feel. Once you start writing out how it made you feel, oftentimes, sometimes people get stuck right there because they don't know how to sit in that feeling because they have told themselves certain things about the trauma. And to bring it back to the forefront means that now they have to look at it for really what it was and not just the story that they told themselves. Okay. And what I mean by that is that sometimes people tell themselves that their trauma happened because of something they did, or if they wouldn't have wore this, or if they wouldn't have been at a certain place. The reality is this, is that if your body processes it as a traumatic situation, you have to learn how to write from a place that is not of judgment. Okay. So when you write from a place that's not of judgment, you give your body, you give your brain an opportunity to address what you've acknowledged and to address it in a way where you're not punishing yourself, you're not condemning yourself, but you're writing based upon the facts of what transpired and how it made you feel. That is why I believe journaling is so very important and it should be done consistently. So when I get clients that say, I don't know how to write consistently, I ask that you think about the fact that you're trying to heal more so than you got to just pick this book up and write in it every day. I can almost guarantee you that if you pick it up and you start being consistent with it, the thoughts will come because in those times you have to sit and you have to deal with it. Most of the time, people don't believe that they can continue with journaling because they don't know how to sit with anything. And oftentimes, they don't know how to deal with anything. So, journaling is the second way. The third way is you should seek some help. Rather, it is your pastor that has had some courses or some classes or certification in counseling, rather it's seeking a professional, a mental health clinician, rather is seeking a licensed social worker, rather is seeking some type of group facilitation, you should seek help. Because once you acknowledge the trauma, sometimes people can't get past the acknowledgement part to start journaling or to seek help because they need help with just simply acknowledging it. Because once you do acknowledge it, what do you do with the overwhelming emotions? Some people do have enough self control where they can just begin to journal, but some people are already spiraling. They're already picking up bad behaviors. And I talk about this in my book, Silent Scars Learning to Heal from Trauma. I talk about some of the unhealthy coping mechanisms that we actually attain from not learning how, excuse me, from not learning how to acknowledge our trauma or learning how to release it or deal with it. Okay. Now, once you seek help, the third way that I'm talking to you about that doesn't consist of medication, once you seek help, what I often do with my clients and what I've gone through myself is I use techniques like CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, where I show how the thoughts are connected to your feelings, which in turn is connected to your behavior. Oftentimes, if you can change or disrupt the thoughts, you can affect how people feel, and then in turn, you can change the behavior. So I believe in that method 100%. And I do believe that it's very beneficial when people are dealing with or recovering from trauma. Another theory that I often use is called exposure therapy. So basically, what therapy does is it helps people to stop reacting by helping them walk back through whatever the trigger or the trauma was and teaches you to not avoid it, because oftentimes, if something comes back to your memory and it creates anxiety, or something happens where it is triggered back up in you, often we don't know what to do with that. But in a safe environment, I can help you walk through that. And because I'm there to disrupt and I'm there to help to pull out or to get you back to a state of normality, it helps in the process of you being able to expose it or to acknowledge it in a safe place where we can walk through it, where in the past, the reaction may have been from you personally trying to do it. I'm just not going to think about it, or I'm just not going to deal with it. But in a safe environment, you have that support so that you can walk back through it. We expose you to it so that we can pull out the different things and make sure the facts are the facts, and make sure that you learn how to stop denying and begin to acknowledge, but in an environment that can help you to not just acknowledge, but learn to address some of those automatic thoughts and learn to address some of the things that are leading to why you feel the way you feel, and in turn help you to change the behavior that you've adopted from not knowing what to do with the thoughts that created the feelings and the behavior. I know that was a lot of information that I just shared with that, but that is just one of the ways that like cognitive behavioral therapy and exposure therapy can assist when dealing with trauma. Now, I know these three ways sound very, very, very practical. And I know sometimes the third way, when it comes to seeking help, people can't always do that because there may be some financial restraints. But if you have medical insurance, I would actually go through your insurance, see if there are benefits there that pay for counseling or pay for therapy, and try to go through that way first. See at your job if they have an EAP, an employee assistance program, and see if you can get those. Those benefits are free through your employer. So a lot of people don't know that EAP even exists in their company, and you can just ask human resources, and they don't know that EAP offers those type of mental health services. Now they may only give you anywhere from 2 to 8 sessions, but sometimes those sessions are so powerful that you realize that you want to make that investment and that it's worth making the investment for you to be able to learn how to heal. So, once again, number one, acknowledge your trauma. Number two, begin to journal and write out how that made you feel, what the trauma was, and learn how to be non judgmental in doing that. And number three, seeking some professional help. Okay. Now, in all of these steps, because I am a faith based counselor or trauma informed coach, it's very important that we incorporate prayer into every last one of these steps, because in this healing process, we are learning how to help ourselves, but He's the one that truly does the healing. And so, since that is the actual case, it's very important that we incorporate prayer and incorporate God in every single one of these steps, because that partnership is the thing that helps us get the results that are so desperately needed. I hope that this video will assist you in some way, shape, form, or fashion. It's not for everyone, and I understand that. But I hope if it is for you, that you can benefit from these three ways that you can learn to heal from trauma without being medicated. I hope you have the most amazing day.